Hi, my name is Rebecca, aka Crown Riri, and this is a Book and Bloom. Hello out there to all my Crown ones, all the Book and Bloomers, all the readers. Happy happy banned book week. Um, Yay! So this, if you don't know, is a time to read banned books. I say read banned books all throughout the year, but this is the week to celebrate it. In regards to that, I wasn't aware that during this week I was reading a banned book until last night when I was closing up the last chapter of the read. So I wanted to do a special Book and Bloom video to just acknowledge this wonderful author. Also, I wanted to talk about the book that I read that has left me in a book hangover. And yeah, let's get into it because this is like my 10th take. So, let's do it. So the book that I read that has been banned, oh, Miss Toni Morrison, one of her books, actually she has had three books banned that I know of. Beloved is one of them, which is my favorite now. The Bluest Eye is another one of my favorites. This is how I was introduced to Toni Morrison. And Song of Solomon, which is on my reading list. So, look at me, a wild west Western girl, reading banned books. Shame on me. But yeah, let's get into this. Toni Morrison's Beloved. If you don't know, Toni Morrison is one of my favorite authors. I love her. I have an intellectual crush on her. And I am kicking myself in the tush because I wasn't a reader of Beloved or Toni Morrison. I'm sorry. I wasn't a reader of Toni Morrison until after she passed. But best believe, if I was a reader before 2019, I would have been on every book tour that she went on, every conference or interview. I would be the audience in the stand. I'm probably like a Toni Morrison stan at this point. This is my fifth book that I have of hers and the third book that I've read. And yeah, let's get into it. I mentioned a book hangover. That is a real thing. Believe me, it's a real thing. I stayed up last night to read this book, and after that, I was laying in my mind. I was laying in the grass like, what now? Because that's how Toni Morrison books leave you. They leave you in a book hangover. If you know, I guess like take the time to read and just like connect to the characters, allow yourself to just be the audience, not listening, but reading. You know what? You can listen while you read. Yeah. I think visually, yeah. Yeah. So, I'll come back to that, I'm sure. But yeah, so Beloved by Toni Morrison left me in a book hangover, as you can see. Sia Denver, Beloved, Paul D, Baby Sugar, all just are just like here. They're like in my heart. I feel like I was like watching over them while I was reading this book. If you don't know about Beloved, it is based on a true story on the account of Margaret Garner. She, instead of allowing herself and her children to go back or to be captured, she decided that instead of her saying, I'm going with you, you can have my children, she killed her daughter rather than allow to be turned back to slavery, basically. And that's where the narration of the story is. That's the main point of the story to tell. Now, one reason why I love Toni Morrison is because she writes her endings first, and then she builds around them. This has an ending. It has an ending. That's all I can say. I don't want to give too much away. But I want to talk about just the bloom of the book for me. It made me really question the freedom of love. If you don't know, I had a conversation with my friend the other day. We were talking, and I was telling her, I am a person of love. Like, I love love. I think love is like a beautiful thing, and love is an action. That's how I define it. Shout out to Bell Hooks for reminding me or just telling me it's an action. So when I was reading Beloved and I was thinking about the actions and not only Seeth, but also Beloved, also Paul D, the question came to my mind like, what is the freedom of love? And from reading this book, it looks different for everybody. Some people let you go because they want you to have that freedom to love somebody else. Some people hold you close because they feel like they have that option of freedom to keep them with you. And that was really one of the narrations in the book, is that freedom of love. And if you get this edition, in the foreword, Toni Morrison talks about freedom. She talks about it a lot, and even like through the characters. Freedom is one of those things that is definitely narrated a lot in this book. Now, freedom looks different for the women in this book and for the men in this book when it comes to love. Paul D was another character where he was told that the less you love, the less you're going to be hurt. Which is a sad thing to say, to anybody, but especially to men. But with that, Paul D's own story here, which I've always heard about Seeth and Beloved in Denver. Denver is her other child. But I've never really heard the story or the focus on the men in this book. Paul D is one of the characters that is focused on here, that I was focused on, and just having humanity as I was reading and empathy on him and about his journey, trying to get somewhere. I can't tell you where. I don't even think he knew where he was going. He was just trying to get somewhere for freedom, to feel free, and probably to like love free as well. Even though he was told, again, limit how much you love. It hurts less when you do. It hurts my heart. But yeah, Paul D's story, if you think about Seeth and her action that she did to Beloved, which honestly, she was going to do that to all her children. And you're like, there's other characters in the story that also have their stories to tell, about leaving this plantation and about trying to start over their lives and trying to understand what freedom is. Again, the freedom to move around, but also the freedom to love. So I just want to talk about the blooming part into this. That was my blooming, that we shouldn't take the freedom to love for granted. That was my blooming on there, for sure. And our decisions to love should be a decision tied to freedom, honestly. Not that when we love, we want to hold something so tight that we're scared to let it go. And I'm sorry, the acts of love is different for everyone. Sia thought that she was loving her child so hard and so much that she didn't want them going back to this plantation. She wanted them to be free. That's the action that she took. And along the lines of this, she has to justify the reason why she put herself and her daughter and her sons, in Denver also, her children in this predicament and the consequences of that. Toni Morrison does not hold back on the consequences that Seeth has to face because of her actions at all. Like, this is why I love Toni. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on this book, Beloved. I was going to say more, but I really urge people to read it. Now there are some traumatic storytelling in here, in slavery, rape, sexual assault, those things. I myself have empathy on these characters. So with that being said, I just want to put that out there. But again, this book gave me a book hangover. I think I'm still experiencing it. So yeah, please check out Beloved by Toni Morrison. And start a Toni Morrison collection like I have. Each one of my books, Beloved, Song of Solomon, The Bluest Eye, has a woman on the cover, and that's another reason why I was looking for this. Also, this one was at Books A Million. It has the forward on here by Toni Morrison when she talks about how she was still doing editing and writing books, and she decided like, hey, I can leave my job. I can do this full time, and that freedom that came with it. Again, I also think it's awesome that she starts her endings before she starts the beginnings, basically. Love Hangover. Sorry, guys. So yeah, I just want to put it out there. Please read Beloved, by Toni Morrison. Sorry, guys. Just moving this book around. I love this cover. So yeah, I just want to talk about that. Also, again, I feel like I'm being a bad girl because I read a banned book. Also ratchet. But yeah, I just wanted to go over one of the books that I read during banned book week. Again, it wasn't my intentions. I'm holding it up again. It wasn't my intentions to read this book during banned book week. It just happened to be that way. Sometimes I am a directional reader, meaning that I wait till like an emotional direction comes for me to read a book, and I'm definitely happy that I followed the direction of reading this book this weekend. This was a 5-day read for me. I work. But it's not really like a long read. It's less than 400 pages. So yeah, please go check it out. With that being said, thank you again for pressing play. I definitely appreciate it. If you don't know, I am the creator and curator of crownwoods.com, where I do my Book and Bloom blogs on there. Also my podcast, the Crown Talk Podcast. And I am one half of the Flowers for the Culture podcast with my good friend, Mr. Al Pete. Hey, friend. So yeah. So I just wanted to do a Book and Bloom video blog. Just, again, urging you to read a banned book. If you just want to get started somewhere, again, Toni Morrison has The Bluest Eye, Song of Solomon, and Beloved. And, on my website, crownwoods.com, I will have a list of banned books for you to check out as well. You can read them throughout the year, but I think it's really awesome that we take a week to just acknowledge all the banned books out there and to support authors as well. Authors telling their truth, authors telling the truth of the characters. I feel like they should be banned for just being themselves and giving us, an insight into another world. So yeah. So thank you again for pressing play. I definitely appreciate it. Read a banned book. Be a baddie. A book baddie. Thank you again for pressing play. And don't forget you are crowned, and don't forget your crown. Thank you.